The void of space shimmered faintly as we approached the outer edges of a star system dominated by colossal gas giants. My ship, the Arbiter's Quest, glided silently past a cluster of these massive spheres, their swirling clouds painting the black canvas of space with hues of turquoise, ochre, and crimson. Each planet radiated an ominous beauty, but one in particular caught my attention. The largest of the giants loomed ahead, its sheer size dwarfing everything around it. Its atmosphere roiled with chaotic storms, massive arcs of lightning crackling through dense, turbulent clouds. Rings of glittering ice and debris encircled it like a crown, a monarch ruling over this stormy domain. Captain, scanning anomaly. Dax 47, my ever-vigilant droid companion, intoned. His photoreceptor glowed an anxious blue as he projected a hologram of a fragmented object drifting in the rings of the giant. I leaned forward, studying the image. It was unmistakably a shipwreck, but not of any design I recognized. Its shattered hull gleamed with gold inlays, the remnants of an opulent vessel that once might have inspired awe. Ornate carvings and sculptures adorned the wreckage, their regal style hinting at a ship fit for a king or a conqueror. Dax, analyze, I said, my voice steady but tinged with curiosity. Metal composition and design suggest alien origin, Dax replied. This vessel suffered catastrophic damage. No life signs detected. However, he paused, a flicker of unease entering his tone. Captain, I'm detecting a faint signal originating from one of the satellites of the largest gas giant. The signal appears to be a distress call. A survivor? I asked, my heart quickening. Possible, Dax confirmed. The transmission is fragmented but intelligible. It repeats a single phrase. Help us. The storm never ends. Chills ran down my spine. A distress call from within this maelstrom of gas and lightning? Whoever was broadcasting it had been clinging to life amidst unimaginable chaos. I gripped the ship's controls, steering toward the planet's moon from which the signal originated. As we drew closer, the satellite came into view. It was a rocky, battered world, pockmarked with craters and shrouded in a constant electrical storm that spread tendrils of lightning across its surface like a web. Even through the ship's reinforced hull, I could feel the hum of electromagnetic energy. Dax, what's the atmospheric composition? I asked, preparing for a possible landing. Unstable, he replied. Highly charged ionosphere with near-constant electrical discharges. Surface conditions are hazardous but not insurmountable with proper precautions. Suggest deploying the energy dampeners. I nodded, activating the ship's shielding systems to repel the planet's violent energy bursts. As we descended toward the source of the signal, I couldn't shake the sense of unease creeping over me. This moon was a graveyard of storms, and somewhere down there someone or something was waiting for us. When we finally touched down on a jagged plateau overlooking a ravine filled with glowing plasma rivers, the signal was stronger than ever. I activated my comms. This is Captain Alara Voss of the exploration vessel Arbiter's Quest. I have received your distress signal and am here to help. Identify yourself. For a moment there was nothing but static. Then through the crackling interference, a voice emerged, trembling and faint. Please, hurry, trap the storm. Can't hold on much longer. The urgency in their words sent a jolt through me. I glanced at Dax. Prepare the rover. We're going in. As the droid complied, I secured my gear and steeled myself. This world was a tempest of danger, but I couldn't leave without knowing who or what was begging for salvation in this electrified wasteland. The descent to the planet's surface was turbulent, the Arbiter's Quest shaking as electrical discharges crackled across the shielding. Outside the viewport, I caught glimpses of the landscape, a chaotic expanse of jagged rock and luminous rivers of plasma, all shrouded beneath roiling storm-filled skies. Every now and then, a bolt of lightning tore through the darkness, illuminating the ground below in eerie flashes. Signal locked, Captain, Dax reported. His tone, though mechanical, carried a note of apprehension. The source appears to be a small settlement near the base of a mountain range. The structures are primitive but functional, though atmospheric conditions suggest constant threat to their stability. Whoever lives there must have adapted to survive, I murmured, gripping the controls tightly as the ship neared its landing site. Prepare the safety capsule. We'll need to navigate through this chaos on foot. After touchdown, the exterior cameras confirmed what Dax had detected. Beneath the turbulent sky, nestled among rocky outcroppings, was a cluster of small dome-like dwellings. The structures were crude yet remarkably resilient, built to withstand the constant onslaught of wind and lightning. Despite the hostile environment, faint lights flickered within some of the domes, suggesting life. To the west of the settlement, the source of the distress signal became visible, a battered escape capsule, its hull scorched and pitted from an impact. It sat tilted in the rocky ground, partially buried beneath debris. As we exited the Arbiter's quest in the safety capsule, the electromagnetic interference grew stronger, crackling across our comms. Dax's photoreceptor blinked as he synchronized our systems with the terrain. Electromagnetic anomalies within acceptable parameters, Captain. I recommend limited exposure to external conditions. The ionized atmosphere is highly unstable. Understood, I replied, maneuvering the capsule toward the escape pod. The closer we got to the settlement, the more clearly we could see the inhabitants. Small wiry figures moved among the domes, their forms partially obscured by the misty air and glowing plasma veins. As we approached, one of the creatures turned toward us, its appearance strikingly distinct. The beings were small, about waist height, with smooth icy blue skin that shimmered faintly under the atmospheric light. Their limbs were thin and agile, and their eyes were luminous, glowing like frozen starlight. They bore a resemblance to Earth's depictions of cryonic beings. Alien forms seemingly sculpted from frost. Their movements were cautious yet deliberate, and their heads tilted in unison to observe our approach. Captain, Dax said softly, his sensors scanning the group. Their physiology indicates high resistance to extreme cold and electrical environments. They appear to be adapted to this world's harsh conditions. The creatures didn't seem hostile but wary, their glowing eyes fixed on us as we maneuvered the safety capsule to the escape pod. Upon reaching it, I disembarked, my boots crunching against the rocky terrain as I approached the battered pod. The signal was strongest here, a faint beacon emanating from the capsule's communications array. Inside the pod, the occupant, a humanoid figure clad in an elaborate suit of golden armor, lay slumped in a reclined chair. Their breathing was shallow but steady, and their helmet's visor flickered faintly with data readouts. This must be the one who sent the distress signal, I muttered, activating my translator. Let's see if we can connect their capsule to our systems. As I began linking the pod's interface to my ship, the icy blue creatures drew closer, their movements almost hypnotic in the dim light. One of them stepped forward, clutching a crystalline object that pulsed faintly. It held the object out to me, its gestures tentative but purposeful. What do you think, Dax? I asked, glancing at the droid. Possibly a key or tool, Captain, he speculated. I recommend accepting it. They may be attempting to assist. I reached out slowly, taking the crystalline object from the alien's thin, claw-like fingers. As I did, the creature emitted a soft melodic sound, a mix of clicks and tones that resonated with the pod's systems. Almost immediately, the capsule's interface sprang to life, displaying streams of alien text and visuals. They're trying to help, I realized, fitting the crystal into a slot on the pod's console. The translation system kicked in, and the screen began cycling through symbols before resolving into something intelligible. The golden armored figure stirred, their voice faint and distorted but coherent enough to understand. You came, they rasped. The storm. It has us all. We cannot escape. I turned to the small aliens gathered around us. Their glowing eyes watched with an intensity that suggested they understood more than they let on. What are they trying to tell us? I wondered aloud. The golden figure raised a trembling hand toward the settlement. They protect the key. The storms are alive. They are hunting us. You must stop it. The realization struck me like a lightning bolt. The storms weren't just weather. They were something more, something malevolent. And these small icy beings were guardians, struggling to hold back a force that sought to consume everything. We'll help you, I said firmly, turning to Dax. But first, we need to learn what these storms are and why they've trapped these people here. The icy creatures chirped and clicked, as if understanding my resolve. With the golden armored figure stabilized in the safety capsule and the crystalline object in hand, I prepared to uncover the truth behind the relentless storms that plagued this strange and hostile world. As I worked to stabilize the escape pod systems, I noticed an additional compartment buried beneath layers of debris inside the capsule. The faint sound of a voice, weak and trembling, emanated from within. Dax's photoreceptor swiveled toward me as I cleared away the wreckage. "Captain, there's a life sign in that compartment," he confirmed. "It's faint but present." My heart quickened as I unlatched the access panel. Inside was a smaller chamber, dimly lit by emergency lights, where a young figure clad in ornate attire lay crumpled against the wall. The intricate patterns on her clothing, woven with shimmering threads of gold and emerald, marked her as someone of great significance, royalty perhaps. Her face was pale and her breathing shallow, but her eyes fluttered open as I approached. "Please," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Help us. The storm. It won't let us go." "You're safe now," I assured her, motioning for Dax to assist. "We'll get you to our ship and figure out how to get off this planet." The princess, if her regalia was any indication, nodded weakly. With careful precision, Dax and I lifted her from the cramped compartment, ensuring her oxygen levels were stable as we brought her to the safety capsule. The golden armored figure stirred as we passed, their gaze locking onto the princess with a mix of relief and urgency. "Protect her," the figure rasped. "She is the key." Once the princess and the others were secured in the safety capsule, I piloted it back to the Arbiter's quest. The small icy beings watched silently as we departed, their luminous eyes tracking our every movement. As we boarded the ship, I couldn't help but feel the weight of their unspoken trust. Back aboard the Arbiter's quest, I instructed Dax to initiate full medical scans on our passengers. The golden armored figure was stabilized in the med bay, their vitals improving as the ship's systems worked to counter the effects of the harsh environment they had endured. The princess was placed in a recovery pod, her breathing steadying under the care of automated systems. "Dax, begin a planetary scan," I ordered, moving to the central console. "We need to figure out what's causing these storms and how we can safely leave this place." "Scanning now," Dax replied, his tone efficient but tinged with concern. "Preliminary analysis indicates extreme electromagnetic anomalies originating from deep beneath the planet's crust. It's as if the storms are being generated by something within the planet itself." I studied the holographic display that materialized before me. The planet's surface was a chaotic web of energy, with the storms converging in a central region near the settlement. Below that area, the scans revealed an intricate network of crystalline formations radiating electromagnetic pulses. "Captain," Dax continued, "the energy signatures from the crystalline formations are remarkably similar to the object you retrieved from the icy beings. It's possible these formations are responsible for both the storms and the conditions trapping us here." I turned to the recovery pod where the princess rested. She stirred slightly, her eyes opening just enough to meet mine. "The crystals," she murmured, her voice weak but insistent. "They're alive. They've woken up. They won't let anyone leave." "What do you mean?" I pressed, leaning closer. Her eyes fluttered closed, but she whispered one final word. "Harmony." The pieces began to fall into place. The storms weren't just natural phenomena. They were the result of a living, sentient force connected to the planet's crystalline formations. Whatever had disturbed their balance had turned the planet itself into a trap. "Dax," I said, my resolve hardening, "we need to learn more about these crystals. Analyze the object the icy beings gave us and see if it can help us interface with the formations." "As you command, Captain," Dax replied, moving to the lab. Time was running out. If we couldn't figure out how to communicate with the planet's core and restore whatever balance it demanded, then no one, not even my ship, would escape its relentless storms. Back on the surface, the leader of the small icy beings emerged from the settlement, flanked by a few of its kin. Its glowing eyes seemed to search my face, as if assessing whether I could truly help them. With a series of melodic clicks and chirps, it motioned for me to follow. The creature led me to a central dome, larger and more intricately constructed than the others. Inside, a glowing mural made from crystalline shards adorned the walls, depicting their history. Dax analyzed the mural as I listened to the leader, whose melodic speech resonated in harmony with the crystals. "Captain," Dax translated, "they're explaining that their people were once caretakers of the planet's crystalline core. The storms were dormant for centuries, balanced by rituals and energy harmonics they maintained. However, an alien vessel, possibly the one that crashed, disturbed the harmony by trying to extract the crystals for power. The leader gestured toward the damaged capsule containing the princess and her golden guardian, its tone becoming mournful. They say the arrival of outsiders overloaded the crystal's stability, awakening their defensive mechanisms, Dax explained. The storms intensified, trapping everyone who remained. I turned to the leader, speaking carefully. Can we restore the harmony? Stop the storms? The leader nodded, its movements deliberate. It pointed to the glowing crystal we'd retrieved earlier, then to the mural. The meaning was clear. The crystal was a key to realigning the energy and pacifying the core. With guidance from the icy beings, Dax and I worked tirelessly to repair the core's energy flow. The small aliens assisted with incredible precision, their natural affinity for the crystals proving indispensable. Using the key crystal, we synchronized the core's oscillations with the planetary harmonics, restoring stability bit by bit. As we completed the final adjustments, the storms began to abate. The sky cleared just enough to reveal a pale greenish sun breaking through the dense atmosphere. The icy beings chirped in what I interpreted as relief and gratitude, their luminous eyes glimmering with renewed hope. It's done, Dax reported. Planetary conditions are stabilizing, but we need to leave quickly. There's no telling how long this balance will last. Understood, I said, turning to the icy leader. Thank you for trusting us. May your world find peace again. The leader tilted its head, issuing a final series of harmonious clicks. Dax translated. They wish you safe travels and hope you carry the lesson of harmony wherever you go. With the princess and her guardian safely aboard the Arbiter's quest, we lifted off, leaving the now calm planet behind. The icy beings watched from their settlement, their figures growing smaller until they vanished from sight. As we ascended into orbit, I set a course for the nearest safe harbor, the flagship of the princess's people, orbiting a distant star. The vessel was massive, a floating city in the void where her people had taken refuge after their home world was lost. During the journey, the princess regained her strength. She joined me on the observation deck one evening, gazing out at the endless expanse of stars. Thank you, Captain, she said, her voice quiet but steady. You saved us, not just me but those brave souls who believed in me. I owe you more than I can say. It's my duty, I replied, meeting her gaze. But I'm curious, how did you end up on that storm-ridden planet? The princess sighed, her expression darkening with memory. We were fleeing. Our world was destroyed by a force far beyond anything we could resist. The storms we faced on that planet, they were nothing compared to the invader. An invader? I asked, leaning forward. What kind of force could do such a thing? Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. A fleet of machines devoid of mercy. They tore through our defenses like we were nothing. My father, the king, ordered the evacuation of our people. Most of us escaped to the flagship, but my vessel was separated during the retreat. We ended up on that cursed planet. And the storms trapped you there, I murmured, piecing it together. She nodded. We tried everything to escape, but the storms grew worse, as if the planet itself wanted us to stay. My guardian sent the distress signal, hoping anyone would hear. I never thought rescue would come. Her words hung heavy in the air. I looked out at the stars, my thoughts turning to this new threat. A fleet of merciless machines? If they were still out there, they could endanger countless other worlds. Your people are safe now, I said, breaking the silence. Once we reach your flagship, you'll be reunited with them. And if this fleet ever crosses my path, they'll find out just how far an explorer is willing to go to protect the galaxy. The princess smiled faintly, her regal composure returning. I believe you, Captain. Perhaps we'll face them together one day. For now our focus was clear, reaching her people and ensuring their safety. But as the Arbiter's quest hurtled through the void, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a far greater challenge. As the Arbiter's quest approached the massive flagship of the princess's people, the sheer scale of the vessel left me momentarily speechless. It floated like a glittering fortress in the void, its golden hull adorned with intricate patterns and symbols that shimmered with a soft, ethereal glow. It wasn't just a ship. It was a testament to a civilization's artistry and resilience. Establishing docking protocols, Dax reported, his photoreceptor flickering as he interfaced with the flagship systems. They are granting us permission to board. The king himself has requested an audience. I glanced at the princess who sat beside me in the cockpit. She looked weary but determined, her posture straightening at the mention of her father. My people have endured much, Captain, she said softly, but we are strong. My father will want to thank you personally, and to ensure our future is safeguarded. I nodded. Let's hope we can help. After docking, we were escorted through the ship's grand halls by a procession of guards clad in golden armor, their faces obscured by ornate helmets. The halls themselves were breathtaking, with high arched ceilings and walls inlaid with glowing crystals that bathed the space in a warm, amber light. Everywhere I looked, I saw signs of a culture that valued both beauty and strength. At last we arrived in the throne chamber. The room was vast, its centerpiece a raised platform where the king sat upon a gilded throne. He was a tall, imposing figure with a crown of crystalline spires and a robe that seemed to shimmer like liquid gold. Though his features were strikingly human, there was an air of otherworldly majesty about him, as if he carried the weight of centuries in his piercing gaze. Captain Alara Voss of Earth, the king said, his voice deep and resonant. You have saved my daughter and restored hope to a family, and a people, who have known too much loss. For this I owe you a debt of gratitude. I bowed respectfully. Your Majesty, it was my honor. But your people have endured great hardship, and I sense there is more to your story. If there's any way I can assist further, I'm here to help. The king inclined his head, his expression somber. Your offer is generous, Captain. You have seen the strength of the storms that trapped my daughter. Now you must understand the greater storm we face. A storm of metal and fire that has scattered my people to the stars. He gestured toward a large holographic map that appeared in the center of the room, displaying a lush green planet surrounded by a bright ring of atmosphere. This was our home, Valicia, a paradise where we thrived for millennia. Like you, we are human, or at least we share a common origin. Long ago, our ancestors journeyed from Earth, searching for a place to call their own. They found Valicia and built a great civilization, harmonious and enduring. The map shifted, showing the planet under siege by an ominous fleet of dark, angular ships. But our paradise did not last. The invaders came without warning. A fleet of machines, their purpose unknown but their intent clear. They dismantled our defenses, tore through our cities and forced us to flee. Only this ship and a handful of others escaped the destruction. I studied the hologram, the scale of the devastation rendering me momentarily speechless. Why would machines attack your world? I asked. Was there something they wanted? We believe so, the king replied. Our planet was rich in Clicium, a crystalline resource you may have encountered on the Storm Planet. It is both a source of great power and a beacon to those who seek dominance. The machines seek it endlessly, consuming it to sustain their fleets. The revelation sent a chill down my spine. The crystals aren't just a resource, they're the reason for this war. The king nodded. Precisely. And though we escaped, the machines pursue us still. We are heading to the Veil Nebula, a region of space shrouded by natural distortions that will mask our presence. There we hope to rebuild and prepare for the day when we can reclaim our home. I considered his words carefully. If there's a chance to stop this fleet from threatening more worlds, I want to help. Earth has no Clicium, but if these machines expand their reach, no planet will be safe. The king's gaze softened. Your courage is admirable, Captain, but you have already done much for us. For now, I ask only that you rest and learn of our people. We will need allies if we are to survive this journey. Later, as the flagship sailed through the void toward the Veil Nebula, the princess and I stood on a balcony overlooking the ship's arboretum. It was a serene place, filled with plants and flowers salvaged from their home world, a reminder of what they had lost. My father told you of our history, she said, her voice quiet. But he didn't tell you the whole story. I turned to her, sensing the weight of her words. What do you mean? Our escape wasn't as orderly as he described, she continued. The machines attacked so quickly that many were left behind. My father had to make a terrible choice, save the core of our people or risk everyone by trying to fight back. Those who stayed behind, their fates still haunt us. Her gaze drifted to the flowers swaying gently in the artificial breeze. When my ship was separated from the fleet, I thought I had failed him, failed our people. But now I see that survival is an act of defiance. We are still here, and as long as we are, we have a chance to fight back. Her resilience was inspiring, a testament to the strength of her people. You didn't fail, I said firmly. You're alive, and you're here to lead your people into the future. That's what matters. She smiled faintly, her determination shining through. Perhaps you're right, Captain. Perhaps this is just the beginning. As we gazed out at the stars, I couldn't help but feel that our fates were now intertwined. The journey to the Vale Nebula was just the start of a larger story. One of survival, resilience, and the fight for a future free from the shadow of the machines. The flagship hovered in the vast emptiness of space, a floating beacon of hope for its displaced people. In the grand hall where the king had shared his story, I stood once more before him, the princess at his side. The weight of our discussions lingered heavily, but I had come to offer something that could change the course of their journey. Your Majesty, I began, my voice steady, I've thought carefully about your plight. Your people need a safe haven, a place where you can rebuild without fear of these machines finding you. My home planet, Earth, has formidable defenses and a coalition of allied worlds that could support your cause. The king's sharp gaze met mine, his expression unreadable. Earth, he mused. It is a name that lives in our oldest stories. Our ancestors spoke of it as a place of both beauty and strife. It's changed, I said, stepping closer. Earth's people have united to face external threats. With its advanced technology and planetary defenses, it's one of the most secure locations in this part of the galaxy. I can provide you with precise coordinates and diplomatic protocols to ensure your safe arrival. The king exchanged a glance with the princess, who nodded in agreement. You are generous, Captain Voss, the king said. If Earth can shelter some of our people, it would offer us a lifeline we cannot afford to ignore. He gestured toward one of his aides, who stepped forward with a data tablet. Provide us the coordinates, the king commanded, and we will dispatch a delegation immediately. I transmitted the information, including instructions for contacting Earth's governing council. You'll need to approach cautiously, I advised. But once they understand your situation, I have no doubt they'll offer assistance. After the formalities concluded, the princess asked to speak with me in private. We stood together on one of the flagship's observation decks, gazing out at the stars. Her expression was thoughtful, her usually sharp gaze softened by gratitude. Captain Voss, she began, holding out a small, ornately carved box. You've given my people more than hope, you've given us a chance. Please accept this as a token of my gratitude. I opened the box to find an intricate crystalline pendant, its core glowing faintly with golden light. This is beautiful, I said, running my fingers over the delicate patterns. What is it? It's called a star's heart, she explained. It's a symbol of guidance among my people. It's said to bring clarity in moments of doubt. I hope it will serve you well in your travels. Thank you, I said sincerely, slipping the pendant around my neck. Its faint warmth was strangely comforting. The princess then handed me a sealed set of documents. This is the other half of my gift. It contains detailed maps of machine-controlled space, based on what we've learned during our escape. These routes will help you avoid their patrols and strongholds. I wouldn't want you to share our fate. I accepted the documents, feeling the weight of her trust. Your generosity humbles me, princess. I'll use these maps wisely. She smiled faintly. I have no doubt. You're a beacon of hope for those you encounter, Captain. Wherever your journey takes you, know that you've made a lasting impact on my people. As I prepared to leave the flagship, the king and princess saw me off, their gratitude evident in their solemn farewells. Back aboard the Arbiter's quest, Dax greeted me with his usual efficient tone. Course plotted, Captain, he reported. Next destination, the Quasar cluster in the Andareth galaxy. Perfect, I said, settling into the captain's chair. Let's see what mysteries await us in a galaxy bathed in the light of 1,000 quasars. As the ship disengaged from the flagship and accelerated into the void, I couldn't help but glance at the star's hard pendant glowing faintly against my chest. It was a reminder of the lives I had touched and the challenges yet to come. The universe was vast and filled with wonders and dangers alike, but I would face it all with curiosity and resolve. Ahead lay the Andreth galaxy, its pulsars and quasars painting the darkness with dazzling light. Each flash was a promise of discovery, and with Dax by my side, I was ready to uncover the stories hidden within. The Arbiter's quest surged forward, its engines humming with purpose as I embarked on the next chapter of my journey.